Brightburn is one of those movies that has a great concept, but I don't know if it fully comes together. This 2019 movie is about a little alien boy being raised by farmers in Kansas. If that sounds familiar, you might be a nerd that likes superheroes, haha. No, yeah, this is basically just Superman if he was evil. A trope we are all tired of by now. But while this trope has been around in comics for a long time, this was one of the first times we saw this idea play out on the screen. It beat The Boys, Invincible, Eternals, and most other evil Superman adaptations. I think Brightburn does do enough different to stand apart though. Like the fact that he's going through puberty and a spaceship is pumping evil thoughts into his brain, and that's kind of why he's going crazy. Now there are some great performances here, like Elizabeth Banks and David Denman are always great, and Jackson A. Dunn is doing a pretty good job being the creepy kid. Brightburn is directed by relatively unknown director David Yarofsky, and it was written by Brian and Mark Gunn. Now if you saw any of the marketing of the movie, you'll know this was produced by James Gunn. They pretty much sold the idea that he was behind the movie, and it does have some of his flair, but it's missing some of the artistry. Like if you compare this to Slither, it's like a night and day difference. Anyway, this is a part of our Halloween series of videos. We figured this is a horror film and we cover a lot of superhero media, so this is a perfect Venn diagram for us. With all that out of the way, let's re-examine Brightburn.
Brightburn was a movie produced by James Gunn in 2019. Kind of a rough year for movies with the COVID pandemic going on that year, but good movie nonetheless. Good Halloween movie to talk about. Good superhero scary movie, if you will. I think watching it back now, it's 2024, kind of on the tired side of evil Superman. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it must have been revolutionary for the time, but I do think it misses a trick nowadays when we get like Homelander every week, and we'll get, you know, Omni-Man in animation, where it's like way more, you know, intense and gory. This tries to do some of that, but it I think wisely actually pulls back on a lot of those elements.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned we were talking about it, that they were a little light on the effects. Like you didn't see it as much as, like you didn't see it on screen as much as you could have. It kind of more alluded to the fact that he had strength or, you know, laser eyes or something, but you never saw him doing it.
Yeah.
And that probably helped with the budget, but I think it also helped the scare factor a little bit more. It felt more grounded, more surreal. You know, the suspense of, oh, he's about to come get me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially when he's tormenting that lady in the diner. We get a cool scene where it's not even him yet. He just shattered the glass, and you get that weird, gory horror scene where the glass kind of falls into her eye and she's like blowing it out. I think that was good. But like you were saying too, the pacing I think was a little off. Like towards the end, maybe.
I think it was so front loaded with us sympathizing with this guy. And that's my main problem, I think, with this movie, is that there wasn't really a reason for him to turn evil. It was just his spaceship possessing him or something eventually.
Well,
I mean,
so my thought process with that, you were asking about that while we were watching it, and I wanted to wait until we were recording to give you this answer. We see a bit at the beginning where he talks about how wasps are a predator, but some wasps can't even build nests, so they'll push into it and make them take care of their babies until the baby wasp grows up, and then they kill the hosts, and then that's their nest.
it's like Suspiria, or not Suspiria, Suburbia, something like that. It's the Jesse Eisenberg movie.
Yeah. I haven't. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a movie with Jesse Eisenberg, and he is, it's like him and his wife get offered this house, and so they go to stay in the house, and they're kind of trapped where they are. Like, they get in their car, and they drive around, and they're given like a baby to take care of, but it's not quite right. And they're sort of trapped in this like suburban neighborhood, and they have to take care of this baby. But the baby talks weird, and like the people that gave them the baby come and get the baby and like teach it about the alien. It's like aliens or monsters or something going on.
I think that's essentially what we see for this movie, is the fact that, because, you know, Superman, Krypton died, so Superman's the last survivor. I think in this one, because his mask kind of mimics more of an insect type of face, you know?
I see that, yeah.
So I think it's more of like a hive mind where they shoot their babies into different planets, have the baby kind of kill off the area, and then they come and live there kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, he starts getting that mantra, take the world, take the world, take the world. So I think he was sent on purpose.
I think that makes it better, but still, like, I like the character in the beginning because he's just like a nice kid. He's a good kid. Yeah. And so it would have been maybe better, more beneficial to kind of take like a mental health route with it. Like, he's kind of bipolar now. Like, he can kind of, like, he's still like, I'm sorry, Mom. Like, I don't mean to be doing this to you, but it changes his personality too. Like, he's lying to his parents, and he's not very good at lying. Like, he he comes up with stuff that like is easily disputable, and like they don't even buy it for a minute, and he's like, and that's what I was wondering, like, is his whole plan just to kill people? Why doesn't he just start killing everybody then?
Yeah,
like,
I think it's more he's fascinated, like grossly fascinated. You know, you got those kids that like messing with like animals or tormenting animals and stuff. This is how he is, because we even see like the diner lady. He took her back to his like spaceship area and is like dissecting her. You know what I mean? I think it's more like he's like, he even tells his foster aunt, you know, I'm a superior being. You know, so to him it's more of a plaything more so than a, like, he has to take the world. That's what the ship is telling him. But he's like, I think for now I'm just gonna have a little fun though. See what it's like.
He did have they equated it to like a boy looking at like magazines, but he had like pictures of girls under his bed, and they also had pictures of like gore and like guts and stuff.
Yeah, like the skeleton, the human anatomy and stuff.
So it was sort of like, I guess he was sort of more fascinated by the like, which is sort of serial killery. It's like sort of one of those things where you would, you know, like you've got something wrong with your head.
Yeah.
It's like the nature versus nurture, where.
But that's the weird thing too, is like you said, he was nurtured fine. He had loving parents. You know, the town was fine. He got bullied once or twice, but there were bad jokes from one kid.
Yeah.
Who you would think that kid would get in some sort of hate.
I kept waiting on that to like I was waiting on that kid the kid who called him like a nerd, or he called him a maggot or something.
Yeah. He's like, well, you know so much about maggots, you must be one.
Yeah.
What?
And so it's like, well, okay, you know, maybe kill that kid.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't want to kill the kid. There was no kids killed in this, so that's probably part of that.
Yeah, that's good.
You get a lot stronger of a rating, or a lot, you know. It takes a lot to kill a kid in a movie, I think.
It does it twice.
It's true.
Several times.
But I will say, in a movie like this where it's more like fun horror.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, it's hard to be scared of this movie too much, because at the end of the day it's a premise of Superman.
Yeah.
So like it's superpowers, not supernatural.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be scared of it. It was cool, it was interesting, it was a good thriller, but it wasn't scary. You know what I mean?
It almost was. I think they try and do that a bunch, where like they'll show him in silhouette. I think the problem is a mask and a cape aren't scary, really. I mean, maybe in like,
his mask was kind of creepy, but when you show the cape too,
I think if you like kept it in silhouette or something, we don't see it. Like just his red eyes were kind of creepy at times. Like there's a part where Denman, what is his name? The guy that plays Roy in The Office.
I don't know his name.
He's like having a dream. He's the dad. He's the foster dad, and he I guess adoptive dad, really. But I mean, they think of themselves as mother and father, because they've been raising him for 12 years.
Yeah, since baby time.
Yeah.
So essentially.
And that was the best part of it for me, was like the family dynamic of like, okay, my son is clearly in trouble, and I'm trying to protect him.
Yeah.
And then she figures out, like, there's a turning point where she's like, oh my God, I gotta stop this kid at all costs, or I gotta, you know, my husband's out in the woods with him, I gotta stop him and stuff. That stuff all worked better for me, but the scariness of it, like you were saying, I don't know that I bought the horror aspects of it. I mean, for like, it's like a gory kind of action movie, it's interesting. I just wish maybe he was more devious, because he's very smart apparently. Like he's book smart.
Yeah, they were saying that at his birthday party and stuff.
Yeah, he's in the top 10th of the 1% or whatever they say of smarts.
Super genius.
But which makes it, I think Superman's kind of the same way.
Yeah, and I mean, he was called a nerd. You know, he had a hard time. He had a hard time like fitting in with his peers. So usually that is equated to because you're smarter or you're more bookish or something like that.
Casting wise, the kid who is the Brightburn kid is pretty good. Like he looks
really
the part.
Good. Yeah.
He plays. I mean, he's a good actor. I don't know if it was like particularly well written or something. There was like but then like you want him to be a little odd too. So maybe it was good casting for what it was.
Yeah, and then you've got Elizabeth Banks as the mom too.
Really she's great. Choice, yeah, you get a lot of the James Gunn regs, like the guy from Peacemaker's in there for like one scene.
Yeah. His wife, or his soon-to-be wife.
Jennifer Holland was in the movie.
Teacher.
She has like some kind of funky name. She's like a German. It's like a weird name.
Yeah. I didn't even catch it the first time I watched the movie, but we were watching it just now, and you were like, "Oh, that's his wife," and I was like, "Oh,
Jennifer
it is, isn't it?"
And it's I was making jokes because is it something? Whatever the guy from Roy from The Office.
Yeah.
He was engaged to Jenna Fisher in the show. James Gunn was married to Jenna Fisher for several years, and then now he's married to Jennifer Holland.
Yeah.
So there's some weird connections in there for that.
But
yeah, he produced. This was directed by David Yarovitsky.
Yeah, it was a weird name. I saw it at the end.
He's a as far as the only other directing credits that I really knew anything about was the Guardians music video at the end of 2.
Yeah.
The Guardians Inferno.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming what happened is that happened back in like that was probably filmed in like 2016. He was like, "Hey, James Gunn, if you need me to direct anything else, I'll do it. And James Gunn's probably like, well, I like this Superman idea, but I can't, I'm busy with everything else. Let me just get this guy to direct, and I could probably help him along.
And I think he does a good job, and it's not a bad movie. It was pretty good to
Yeah.
watch. There was some issues I liked at the end. They kind of hint at like this overarching dark universe type thing. You get like an evil Aquaman, an evil Wonder Woman, but she's like a witch kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they talk about who was the third guy.
It was like a Batman thing or something, right?
No, it wasn't Batman. Batman showed up, but they didn't bring up him. It may have been Brightburn, Aquaman, and Witch Woman Lady. And then they show like the Flash of Batman. And it was this cool thing. And after the movie came out, James Gunn even said, no, we're going to be doing more of these.
Yeah.
And then we get the writer's strike, and James Gunn wanted to continue doing it, but the producers and stuff, he only owns half of the rights to it. So the other side was wanting to do like AI writing, which was not a good move, especially amidst the writer's strike.
Yeah.
So it's been in like a productional hell ever since, and it's leaning more and more towards not ever happening, which is sad because it had the potential.
You think about it like It you mentioned.
Yeah.
You've only got so long to do It sequel with the kids before they get super old and they doesn't quite feel right. Even like Godzilla vs Kong, the girl that was a little girl in Godzilla King of it was Godzilla. It was the first one, Godzilla vs Kong to Godzilla X Kong. She looks like way older.
Well, that's the thing too. It doesn't have to be that connected. It could all be in the same world, kind of like the Cloverfield movies.
Oh, sure.
To where you get like this weird Witch Woman, Wonder Woman horror movie, right? Or you get the Aquaman horror movie. They don't all have to eventually meet each other. But it would be cool at the end. You see the references to the other places just as much like you did at this one.
It's that's to me is just like studio brained. I'm thinking like that would be hell to name and market because it's like this is in the world of Brightburn, but Brightburn was the town in Kansas, so we can't call it Brightburn.
Yeah, how would you market it?
And you can't call it like Wonder Woman parody. Even if it's like a witch lady, it's like, are we just doing a witch horror movie at this point? What like a sea creature, half man thing? Yeah,
and the fact, like you said, it's 5 years ago they made Brightburn.
Yep.
If you came out with the Wonder Woman or the Aquaman one 2 years ago, they'd be like, oh, okay, we get what's going on here, James Gunn. And you could tell that James Gunn had produced it. Like it definitely had some James Gunn stuff in it.
I thought a lot about Slither. You ever seen Slither?
Mm-hmm.
It's got like Elizabeth Banks is the main character, and it felt there's like an alien creature.
Yeah,
it's
it comes out of the toilet at one point.
I think that it's in the poster too. The famous image of it, like slithering up the toilet.
I don't like it. That's the only part I know. My mom and dad were watching it at the time.
Michael Rooker becomes this like giant slug monster guy, and I think that was either like her ex-husband or something. Anyway, it's very similar to this, where like a family member is affected by an alien thing somehow. And you kind of have to deal with that. But Slither was more gross. Yeah. This is more like fun action movie.
Yeah, more gruesome. I liked the deaths that we got, and like he kills his dad by like burning his brains out, which is crazy.
Very Homelander. Yeah,
he kills his uncle by picking up his car and making his whole like face just get cut off at the steering wheel when he drops it back down. Like crazy, amazing scene, gruesome, but the uncle was like literally holding his jaw up, trying not to bleed out, which was really cool.
That's that guy is good. He's in Breaking Bad. Weasel. I saw him. I was like, it's Weasel from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and then of course the nurse, or not the nurse, the lady from the diner, she ends up getting dissected and stuff. Very gruesome, very gruesome murders, but they lend to it. It was really good.
What was this movie trying to say? Was it like, oh, my son has a mental illness, and that's sort of causing him to do this? Like in the real world, kind of like metaphorically, like what's the message here? It's like this is more about like, because it was puberty in the movie, like it was going through puberty, but I don't know that it was like it held as like a metaphor, because people don't go crazy when they get puberty. You know what I mean? Like there's only little aspects of that. Like there's a girl in his class that is nice to him once, and he like sneaks into her house and he's stalking her. Yeah, he's kind of just a little creep, I think,
because he doesn't know how to handle. Because as a kid, we wouldn't be able to do what he does. Yeah. So at most, he's like fantasizing about this girl, but he has the power to actually go see the girl.
Did that scene work for you? Was it scary? Was it effective for you?
It wasn't scary, but I don't think most of this movie was scary for me.
I like the premise so much, though. It's such an interesting idea to do young kid developing his powers and he just kind of snaps. But I think Homelander's a better way to do it, But
with Homelander, you knew it was coming from the beginning because he was so ostracized and
It makes sense why Homelander turns, I guess.
Yeah.
It makes sense why he's crazy and why they...
With this kid, they have to make it a brainwashing thing because
Yeah.
other than that, he's got a pretty great life.
And he's not really even brainwashed because he's just... I mean, I guess he's... Maybe that idea has, like, taken over his brain.
That's
of,
what I'm
like,
saying. I'm definitely thinking brainwashing.
'Cause
Like
it-
the signals giving off from the ship.
Yeah, and there's parts of it, like, in the beginning where he's got, like... He's having, like, sleepwalking and he goes to the barn and everything. And I know it's Superman, and I know that we know it's Superman.
Yeah.
Maybe explain some of that. Maybe be like, I saw him, oh, he's levitating. Oh, when he was a baby, he levitated, something like that. Just to give it a little bit more, like, cohesion.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what Superman is, does this make sense at all?
No, it's a little weird. It is cool they name it Brightburn because, like, Smallville.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the show Smallville. Kind of.
Yeah. Which, is Brightburn a real place? I didn't look that up.
I don't know. I didn't look that up either. Set in Kansas. Same
Kansas.
state.
I think it was a good... Like, I think this is one of those things where it's a great idea. Just in execution, it kind of fails a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think it had like a 57, 60-ish rating on
Really?
Rotten
So it
Tomatoes.
didn't do too well.
Yeah, it did okay. I mean, I think it was maybe fresh. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I think the general public was kind of like, what is this? Like, what do we make of this?
Yeah.
It,
It's hard to get people to the movies, too. It's 2019 when
Yeah,
it released.
yeah.
There's just a lot of problems. They had to fight uphill with it.
Yeah, but the budget was only like 6 to 12 million. It didn't have a full, like, when I looked, it was like 6 to 12, and it had like a 40 million reception or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
it did well.
Budget of 6 to 12 million, box office 32 million. So it made its
money.
money back,
Yeah.
double, but I think they wanted more out of it because there was a
Yeah.
huge marketing push around this movie.
Yeah, and I think they just weren't expecting 2019
Yeah.
to hit, you know?
Yeah.
Because I remember early 2019, we had went to the movies, and we watched that Hunted movie, you know? It wasn't you, it was me and my girlfriend, we went.
What was it? What was the Hunted movie?
Where the, like, Democrats kidnapped all the...
I do remember that. That was a controversial thing too.
Yeah. It was a good movie. I liked it.
Mm.
I remember that week we watched that, and like the very next week, everything shut down.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it happened almost overnight. You know,
Yeah.
in the States. So I bet you when they were making this movie, they were hearing about what was going on in China, but they're like, oh, it's fine. And then they already had it released and set and stuff. So
And that little woke liberal was wearing a mask the whole movie.
Oh my
I couldn't
God,
get
dude.
behind it.
yeah, I like that. That was good. But no, it was still decent. Some of the kills could have been a little bit longer, drawn out and stuff.
Sure.
Like when he finally killed like the two cops, they were kind of brutal, but
Yeah.
like off screen. And I think they were trying to make it scary that way, but it just didn't really work.
It was because we mentioned a lot of this is practical. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's actually like I don't think they used much green screen or anything. They went to the thing. They filmed at the high school from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I confirmed because I was like, this looks like Stranger Things. I looked it up.
Yeah.
It was the same. It's like a defunct middle school or something in Georgia that they filmed
Okay.
it at. And it looks real. Like it looks good in that way. Like it's
Yeah.
not like a Marvel thing nowadays where it's like you can kind of
Yeah.
tell.
Everything looked good in the movie.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think I had many problems with how it looked or how it
A
operated.
little bit of dodgy stuff with the superpowers, like when he's killing the female sheriff or
Yeah.
sheriff's deputy. There's like if you added cartoon sound effects to it, because he's just kind of slamming her into the floor or something.
Yeah, over and over. He's slamming her up and down, over and over.
It was a little much for me because we just get a close up of Elizabeth Banks, but you can kind of see it in the background.
Yeah.
And then it's like cartoony almost, like bing
Yeah,
bong,
yeah.
bing bong, and then she lands and she's got like the actual practical makeup and she's bleeding out and her
Yeah.
face is all ripped up. That was really good, but the thing before it
Yeah.
didn't necessarily. But that's the only real issue I had with like special effects or anything.
Yeah. And then the other cop just got killed off screen essentially.
I think that was maybe more effective than the other one because it was just so quick and
So
cold.
sudden, yeah, she was like, "Oh no, I'm here, help me,"
Yeah.
and then he's just gone.
Also, that last climax where he's like tearing apart the house, is he trying to scare her? Because it feels like he would be able to just like get her, but it looks like he's kind of looking for her.
Yeah, it is weird because like you don't know. I don't know if it's like symbolic of ripping out his past to embrace his
Yeah.
future, or if it's straight up just he's a kid, 12-year-old, doesn't know where his mom is, so he's just destroying the whole place.
Yeah.
Anything really can work for it. We think he has like super hearing because we're doing Superman stuff, but nothing's actually alluded to that he actually has really good hearing because he would have heard his dad. Spoiler alert, obviously, but his dad tries to kill him, and he cocks the gun and he shoots him in the head, but it bounces off of him. He didn't hear his dad doing that at all, and he was very shocked by it. So I don't think he has super hearing.
I think the setting worked for it. It was like that kind of because in Superman it's always just like good old Ma and Pa at the farm.
Yeah.
In this it's like very small town. Like the uncle gives him a gun, you
Yeah.
know, and the dad's like I don't want to give him a
No,
gun.
he's like, no, I'll take you on hunt because his dad does take him hunting and
Yeah.
stuff. But his thing was like, you're too young, you're 12. We'll get you a gun when you're older, not right now. And he keeps the gun too. He puts it in the gun safe and stuff. We see that later.
Yeah.
And he uses that gun when they go hunting. So it's like,
I was gonna say,
he's like, you can have the gun, just not right now.
it's like a literal Chekhov's gun because we see a gun, and I'm thinking like he doesn't really need a gun, but they never fire the gun. It's just they just puts it away.
Yeah. But no, it's really good. And like you were saying, the setting is really well. Most of it takes place in the barn. The barn is like really creepy.
Yeah.
You get the mom tries to kill her son by getting the one thing she saw made him bleed, which was the part of the ship. I was scared that she was going to drop it and back out at the last minute and kind of be like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And then she actually goes for it, which was crazy, and then he just flies her all the way up and drops her. Then you were talking about like how terrifying that could be. Like, put yourself in the shoes of her falling.
That effect was a little wonky too when they're kind of up in.
Oh, was it?
It reminded me a lot of like the Christopher Reeve Superman where he's like flying with Lois Lane.
Yeah,
and it's like a nice romantic thing.
That one was so bad.
What?
Yeah, dude.
You don't like that one?
No, not the movie.
Oh, the special effects.
Yeah, the special effects, which I know it's going to be
dated.
bad. Yeah, but like
old,
I remember watching that like 10, 15 years ago. Like, oh, oh man.
For its time, it was okay.
Yeah, I bet you they'd be like, oh my god.
Well, I think that one of the taglines for that movie was like, "You will believe a man can fly."
Yeah.
But no, so he brings her up, and it's kind of like I guess it's a rig or something. I don't know. But it feels like they're just standing still, and he's like dragging her up. You know.
Yeah.
But the thought of like just getting dropped, and then you see a plane coming close, and I think he just thinks like, "Oh, good deal. It's
good
like
cover here." Yeah. And he uses the plane. He kills everyone on there. It was like 266, 267 passengers. Yeah. No one survived, and he just crashes it into his house, so it covers up everything.
Was this the same year as the first season of The Boys?
I think it was, because I'm pretty sure I saw that before I saw Homelander fry the lady's face. So I was like, oh, look, they did the same thing. Now, though, if you watch it now, you're like, oh, it's just...
It's Homelander.
Boys. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when we and you were watching it, it's hard now looking at... Because I'd already seen it, but now I was like, Hopper's not going to really appreciate these for the first time because, like we said, we've watched The Boys for 4 seasons.
Evil Superman is like a common trope now, almost. Even like Superman's been evil a couple times, like Injustice and all that kind of stuff.
And then we've had Omni-Man too, which is more gory and stuff too. So watching it now is harder to be like, oh, evil Superman. I think the only twist now is that he's a kid. You know what I mean? But
we can talk about it a little bit. I think it's funny, the idea that James Gunn produced this evil Superman movie, and now he's like directing Superman, like the big thing for DC next year. So it's like,
and it's crazy too, as you were saying, like he could probably just do all this himself in the DC universe now. You know, he doesn't need that.
Well, bring Brightburn in, and Superman just like comes, like Brightburn's like doing a building leveling or whatever, and here comes Superman, just like stop that.
Yeah,
like, just taps him on the head, like stop it.
Cut that shit out. He looks like you can clean the shit up.
X-Men reference.
Yep. But no, I liked it. It was good.
I did like it. I think anything James Gunn touches is going to have a stamp of quality.
Yeah.
And I just like the world. I thought it was like a very fun, not fun, I guess the wrong word, but it's like a nice like family. And then when the kid starts messing up, it's like, oh crap. I think there could have been more metaphorical stuff. Like we could have leaned harder into like some of those themes.
Yeah. I think the dad being so quick to freak out about the son is a little weird because it's like, you want to believe your son wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? And the mom, she believed it for a while. She was in denial for a while. And I know you kind of have to have like the dynamic, one person who does and one that doesn't. It spurs the plot a little bit better. But how quick the dad was to be like, he's a monster, he's a freak.
Well, I think David Denman, by the way, Denman is his name. I knew I was close, but he definitely, you get a dream sequence with him, and you're kind of like, what the hell's going on? Because there's nothing really like that else in the movie. Yeah. But there's a dream sequence where it's like them finding the baby in the woods, and it's kind of like you throw some extra editorialization, some nightmare stuff in there. The lady's eyes go white, and she's bleeding out of her eyes, and the baby's starts bleeding and everything. And he's got the red eyes as like a little baby, and he kind of jumps and stuff. I think the dad probably has had more complicated feelings about taking the kid than the mom did.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like that about how they like we prayed to anyone that would listen.
Yeah. And
then we got a baby. It's like, of course you would think it's a miracle because they've been looking for a baby.
I mean, you could go a step further and even think like the aliens, when they sent them, were like surveying like who's gonna take this kid in and not take them immediately to the government.
Where can we crash land the ships as well? Like, what's the geographical location and perfect parents?
Yeah, and then they see this and like, oh, we listened, we heard, and so we sent them down. Could be.
Do you think the actual aliens that the race that he is part of look like humans, or do you think they just like engineered this one to look like a human?
Good point. That's a good question, because we do see like a hive mind type thing is what we're led to believe.
That's what we're thinking, yeah.
So they could be more hive bug-like.
More buggy.
Yeah.
I like that it wasn't like super explicit with that stuff. Like I don't mind if I don't know like why he wants to like if the alien ship wants him to destroy the world. I would just like more reference of like what can he do, what can he not do.
Yeah, we get like electrical powers.
Yeah, yeah.
Problems with electricity,
and
which I think lends to the horror.
Yeah, and we talked about he didn't want to have they didn't want this to be like a 1-to-1 exactly this is Superman kind of thing. So he does have some like electrical interference stuff going on, like the lights flicker, which is just scarier, you know. Yeah. It's good. The Billie Eilish song at the end took me out of it a lot.
Yeah, and like you said, I think that's more executive oversight or what's the word I'm looking for?
Just like
a studio oversight. Because as the credits fall, you just hear Billie Eilish, "I'm the bad guy," and you're like, "Come on, bro."
And like that song, it makes it look cool what he's doing, but he's like leveling city buildings and he's like doing a bunch of like big crazy stuff.
Yeah, and they're going on about how like there's other beings like this in the world. Give us some eerie, dark music that's leading to hey, there's going to be a whole universe of this going on.
I think that's the whole issue with the movie. It doesn't fully embrace the horror aspects. It's almost too superhero-y. To focus on the superhero-y stuff. Like when he first discovers he can't get hurt or whatever, he like stops a lawnmower blade with his hand. Like that's a cool superhero scene.
But it's also a little bit dark. You know what I mean? Putting your hand into a lawnmower blade.
I mean, he destroys the dad's lawnmower. I guess that's a dick move. I was kind of waiting on the dad to be like, "What the fuck did you do to my lawnmower?"
Yeah, that never got referenced. You know, the dad would know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he hurt. I mean, the dude flung a lawnmower like 30 feet. You would have seen it. Yeah.
Well, he was gone at the time. He said he was going to get feet.
Oh, that's probably why.
But the events of the movie take place over like a week or two.
Yeah.
You know? You could have found out about your lawnmower.
That would have. I kind of thought maybe like, oh, what's wrong with the lawnmower? And it looked like his hand had punched through it or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, he's super powered.
Yeah. So no, I liked it. I would give it probably a good 6 or 7.
7's fine. I think 7's good.
But yeah, guys, this is more of our Halloween-themed Friday videos. Stay tuned on the channel. We're going to have more of them. There's already been a few that come out and more coming out. Trying to do some horror themes, some superhero stuff, just on brand for the channel kind of thing, so stay tuned for it. Let us know what you thought about the movie. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? It's a good time to watch it with Halloween right around the corner. What are your thoughts, Hopper?
Yeah, I think if you're a superhero fan that likes horror stuff, this has a lot of elements you're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't quite think the two elements mesh like they want them to.
Yeah.
But it's still a good attempt overall. And I do want to see more of this. I think it would be very interesting to see kind of what the future of this is. Is there more superpowered beings that are going to stop Brandon? Is his name?
Yeah, Brandon Breyer. Because the Brightburn symbol was really cool.
Yeah. I would like to see kind of more of that. Like, is the witch woman going to be on his side and like destroy the world, or is it like, oh, my alien species needs the world, so you need to go away? I mean, are they fighting each other?
Yeah.
Are they teaming up to just destroy the world?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see kind of where they take that stuff.
So stay tuned on the channel, see more stuff like this, and we'll see you guys next time.